Well, hey everyone, welcome back to the bike room. It is a few days after the finish of the 600K Brevet. So, spoiler alert, I finished my 600, I qualified, and I'll be there at the start line in Rambouillet in a little over a month. So, got that under my belt. I ended up riding the, they call it the Coast View 600. Goes from Arcata up in Northern California, actually goes a little bit north from there and then heads back down south all the way to San Francisco. Lots and lots of hills. My computer told me about 21,000 feet of climbing over the 600, which is 2/3 of the climbing in all of PBP, in only half the distance. And it's a different kind of climbing. It's all mostly steeper. A lot of it is, there were a few sustained climbs on there, but in general, harder riding than we'll see over in France. So I ended up finishing that in 39 hours and 40 minutes. So I used almost all the time that I had a 40-hour limit. But I also slept for 5 hours in Fort Bragg, and that helped me on the second half of the ride. So I put together a little bit of video from that ride, so I'll show that in a second. Learned a few things, so if we want to get back to some tips, I did use a drop bag for this ride. So they had a drop bag service. I was able to I had a change of clothes, I had some food to heat up, a cup of noodles and stuff, some other things to drink, put that all in my drop bag. So at the 200-mile mark was a Motel 6 that all the riders who were staying overnight slept at. So I had my drop bag there. I was able to get a quick shower, eat some food, drink some stuff, and then my plan was to wake up in time to roll out at 5:30 a.m., which I did. And based on the time that I got in, and I was trying to ride as efficiently as I could on the first half of that ride, I got about 5 hours of sleep. Now that's more than I think I'll try and get in Paris. My plan is to sleep at Ludiac. I usually sleep there for about maybe 3-4 hours tops, mostly because I'm trying to bank the rest of that time for the second half of the ride. I like to keep that in reserve in case something happens. So try not to get too much sleep on the way out. Learned a few other things. My my anti-chafing regime worked really well. I was wearing regular shorts. I had some Adidas non-padded liners inside those, combined with my favorite anti-chafing product, which is Brave Soldier's Friction Zone, and that worked fine. I came out of 600K with virtually no chafing, so I was very pleased about that. I rode my blue Alex Singer, which I gave a tour of in one of my prior videos. That'll probably be the bike that I take over to France, just because it just does everything so well. I've got other bikes that I'm looking at. I've shown you one of those. I'll show the other if I can get around to it. But that particular Alex Singer bike just does everything so well that I think it's the one that I'll end up taking. Again, I rode PBP in 2015 on the same bike. I continued to kind of refine my camera setup. I had 2 video cameras, so you'll see a lot of footage from an on-the-bike camera that I used, which is actually this one here. This is the Garmin Verb. Takes very nice 1080p footage, mounts on the on the handlebars, has a very simple record switch over here. You just flip it forward, it starts recording, flip it back, it stops. You don't really have to think very much about it. I was also carrying my Rilo 360 camera, which I ended up not using a whole lot, mostly because I was just working so hard on the bike. So I had some footage from that, but not a whole lot. And then my film camera, which is really narrowing down. I think my choice is really settling on an Olympus XA, actually the XA4, which is one of the variants of that film camera from the 1980s with a 28mm lens. I'll put some pictures in amongst the video clips there as well, so you can see what that looked like. I do have a plan to take all film photos out on the course, with the exception of whatever I may take with my phone if I want color. And then to turn those into a book at the end of the ride. So hopefully that'll all work out. On some other topics, I did try and keep on top of the sunscreen issue. I had gotten my arms pretty badly burned a few days earlier when my friend and I rode down half the California coast. So tried to pay more attention to that on this ride. It did stay fairly cool, so I wore a wool jersey and arm warmers for almost the entire ride. But that was one thing that was actually very nice about the ride, was it stayed cool. And we did have tailwinds on the second half of it, which I've ridden that part of the course before, which really helped push you down the coast, so that was nice. So all in all, everything worked well. It was a great experience. It was a very hard ride, but it was a gorgeous ride, as you'll see in the video, and certainly gave us all something to look at. There were about 6 or 7 finishers. They had, I believe, 12 or 13 registered. One person decided not to do it beforehand. One person crashed out, and a few others DNF'd at various points along the course. So it was a tough ride, even for some folks there. Some of the people who DNF'd were some very accomplished randonneurs, and just decided not to finish the ride. So anyway, we'll get to the video now. I'm going to keep it kind of short. I didn't want to take a whole lot of time editing together all the clips that I got, but I picked out a few that I think you might enjoy that'll give you a character of what the ride was like. So that's it for now. I will post a few more of these videos, but ride day is getting close. I'm starting to make some of my final arrangements for lodging and luggage storage and things like that over in France. I was just on the phone a little while ago with my friend Scott, talking about logistics for a support vehicle that we're hoping to have out there on the course, this time helping us carry bags and maybe have some food and a place to wash up outside of the controls, so we can maybe get that done a little bit more efficiently. Let's do a quick check-in. It is 5:30 a.m., second day of the ride. So I got here last night right before 11, showered, ate some food, got to bed about 11:30, woke up at 4:30, so 5 hours of sleep. That's pretty good. All ready to go now, all kitted out, bike is ready, and the only thing now is trying to find some food that's open. The only place I can find in town right now is Denny's, which is a mile back on the course. So
I'm not sure I want to do that. And then the only other problem is heading down the coast. There's really nothing, probably until possibly Elk. That's that town about 22 miles down the course. If not Elk, then it's another 20 miles past that. So food choices somewhat limited. Anyway, feeling good. 175 to go today. Not as bad as the hills yesterday, so should be a good fast ride, fast-ish. And I've got until 10 o'clock tonight, which is, let's see, 16 and a half hours from now. Should be able to do that. We'll see.